Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to this video on mastering. I just wanted to make something really quick because a common question people have is how loud my music should be if you're someone who's going to hand off your mix to someone at a studio or someone on Fiverr to master it for you, what you should be asking for, what you should be expecting. A big part of it is with the LEFS. A lot of videos on YouTube talk about this because all the stream platforms have their own loudness standard. And this is the readout that you get when you play through the whole song. You're actually looking at a commercial song taken from Spotify. This is Greatness by Quavo or Quavo. I always forget how to say his name. But this is a new single he put out. I ripped it, put it into Live. I'm using Isotope Insight plugin to meter it. You have Logic, you have a metering plugin that's just like this. This is a great third-party option you can use. At the end of the song, it's at -14 on the dot. That's because Spotify is making everything regulated to that particular number. Other stream platforms are different. But the problem is a lot of people focus on this number too much. They might even communicate this to a person on Fiverr, and that's why I'll have a student or someone come to me later on when they're not happy with the result of what happened to their music, because this is not actually the most important aspect of what's going on when you master your music for commercial loudness. It's actually this little number down here. So you can see loudness range. This is referring to how much dynamic energy essentially is in your music. And it's also very determinant on style. So if you have like a hip hop track or an EDM track, the audiences for that music expect that to be very loud and compressed and aggressive. Not a lot of dynamic changes in that music compared to if you're listening to like a classical orchestral piece, which is extremely dynamic. So you have two very different audiences and their expectations. From a practical perspective, if you're obsessing over how loud should be, if someone's listening to your music in their car on Spotify and using the Spotify app, and your song comes on and they like your song but it feels too soft, they'll turn the volume up. If they hear your song and it's too loud but they like your song, they're just going to feel uncomfortable and they'll turn the volume down. It's not really something that is worth obsessing over, because the number that really determines the quality of your listening experience is the loudness range. And again, it's determinant on style in many ways. So I have had people come to me, like students trying to figure out how to master their music, and they had originally given their track to someone on Fiverr, right? Or at a studio, and they were doing hip hop, and they would say, yeah, I want it to sound good on Spotify. And they go, yeah, sure, we'll do that. We'll make it at -14. And they would. And then when they would distribute and release the track and they listen to it next to other things, it sounded very weak compared to the signed artists with their commercial music. And the reason why was, yes, they did master your music to -14, but the loudness range was like 7 or 8. And so it sounded quieter, or it sounded weaker compared to the more heavily compressed commercial tracks that you might have been trying to compete with in that genre of music, right? Hip hop, which is supposed to be really loud. The opposite has also happened. So I've had students or people come to me to remaster their music. They had to take it down and they weren't happy with it. And in this particular person's case, she, was a singer-songwriter, and she gave it to someone on Fiverr and she said, I want you to make it sound at a commercial loudness. They said, sure. She just found her music just sounded really weird. It was so loud and it was just basically the word she used was weird sounding. And I put it into here and it was at 1.9 on the LU here, right? So it was completely squashed. They squashed the heck out of it to make it commercial sounding. And the result was something that, she liked her mix more. She liked the pre-mastered version of her music more. That's a telltale sign that something's wrong. You should never be sacrificing your music to make it loud. If you find that your music is losing something to get it mastered by someone, they're doing something that's not working for the music, right? So if you're a singer-songwriter or you're doing something where you don't want your music to be squashed the crap out of, because then it's kind of lost its emotion, it's lost its flavor in a lot of ways. It just sounds flat and sometimes even sounds kind of weird or distorted, because people will do these kind of cookie cutter methods to get it loud and get it out and get it done, right? So you might want to have a bigger loudness range in those styles. Singer-songwriter is a big one, right? Singer-songwriter, you don't need your music to be completely squashed when you're playing an acoustic guitar and you're singing an emotional vocal and that kind of thing. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It takes away from the music. It doesn't add to it. So I wanted to make a video about this topic because even though it is a technical thing, I've had enough people come to me or ask questions or try to learn about it for themselves, and they've had a little bit of a difficult time of understanding what they should be thinking about when it comes to mastering your own music or getting it mastered by someone, especially someone you can't work with in person. If you're just doing it over Fiverr, or you're calling up a studio and you're spending good money to get it done and they're getting it to you really quickly and it's not really sounding that great. So, and that can happen, you know, that's a reality of trying to make music yourself. So if you have any questions about mastering, leave them in the comments below. I hope this video helped spark some ideas in your head and make this make a little more sense. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video.